Welcome back. So I hope you had some fun with those things that we talked about, breathy, connected, that you've been able to experiment and really think of it as experimentation. It is, again, that discovery process that we want to become engaged in. And we talked about a couple of things, actually. We talked about movement, how powerful that is. We want to ultimately be able to isolate and separate these muscles so the vocal cords can vibrate freely. That is how we get the range and the dynamics and the tone that you want. We also talked about control, right? This need to control. What if we let go of that need to control? Wow, we actually can experience a greater sense of freedom right away when we do that, but that also ties into how we can learn something very effectively. We talked about power versus force, right? And it applies to more than singing. If we try to force something, we often meet resistance. We will meet resistance, tension. So we become more powerful, both internally, the voice, and in life, if we can actually reduce the resistance. So we also talked about muscle isolation, that it's crucial in order to excel at any physical skill. And we talked a little bit about the tongue. What is the tongue? It's a strange muscle. It's actually a bunch of muscles. That's why it can move in different directions, right? Now, when we swallow, the tongue goes back and it covers the airways. That's the whole idea. So when you swallow, you can't breathe, right? Try it. And obviously you can't sing when you swallow. So we have to be able to actually relax these swallowing muscles when we sing. In order to relax something, like we talked about, relaxation is not just feeling, oh, okay, relaxation. No, it's actually an advanced muscle isolation skill, really, to be able to activate one muscle and then relax the surrounding muscles, like we talked about, right? Moving the fingers or moving one finger and relaxing the other finger. That's not so easy to do, right? So we're going to do some things now that have to do with the tongue. So if you, for example, do blah, 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 try that. I know, it's strange. Luckily, nobody's watching. So, but just do that. See how it feels, right? That might be hard to do. If this happens, it tells you something. Something is very, very stuck, right? So, if you can't do it, it's not the end of the world. You can still be a great singer without having to do that sound, right? But it actually is very, very helpful to try and loosen up the tongue because it has to be forward and it has to be fairly loose in order to be able to make that sound, right? It helps to move. Okay? Feel that. And if it's not, it doesn't move fast, that's fine. So tongue root tension, and the tongue goes pretty far back. Tongue root tension is a culprit in all voice disorders. Just goes with the territory. Why? Because if you have discomfort, anything that's not operating optimally, the vocal cords aren't doing what we would like them to do, there's going to be surrounding tension. The tongue is part of it. So tension here in the back of the tongue is always a big issue. It blocks resonance, it blocks your tone, and it also hurts the range. So the tongue will contract when you try to go for something that's difficult, probably high note or even a low note, or if you go for power or whatever it might be. Or if you're singing something that's difficult, different patterns of notes, likely there will be something that becomes, and the tongue is going to be part of it. So we need to do exercises that releases this tongue root tension, and we do it by actually activating some muscles also. So when you're doing this, something is moving. There is some muscle that's activated. What is that? Say, So that would be spelled NG, like in song, right? So say that again. Right. Now, what is it you're moving to make that sound? There's something you're moving, right? There's some part of a muscle that's moving. Say it again. Right? And is part of the tongue. Is it the tip of the tongue? Where's the tip of the tongue when you make that sound? Do it again. Okay, is the tip of the tongue up or down? It's down, right? But something is up. Is that the back of the tongue? Is that the root of the tongue? No, it's not. It's kind of the middle of the tongue. That's against the roof of the mouth, right? But what's the back of the tongue doing? Well, that's hard to know. It just does what it's always done, maybe. But if I do, now something else is going on. Now there's a lot of stuff that's becoming squeezed. So we actually want to try and feel a sense of heaviness, the very, very back, while the tip or the middle of the tongue, rather, is up against the roof of the mouth. And it helps to move, because we just want to feel this kind of looseness, right? Always. Yes. So it's interesting that the tongue then is not really just one muscle. It's a bunch of muscles. That's why I can move in different directions. So I can make that sound and still move the tongue. Isn't that strange? You do it. How's that possible? So that middle of the tongue is against the roof of the mouth, and still we can move the tongue. Wow, and it doesn't change the sound. Is this sound a nasal sound? Yes, it is. Why? Because there's no air going through our mouth. You could close your mouth and it makes no difference. The mouth has nothing whatsoever to do with it, right? But we can have it open, so it just hangs open just to get used to relaxing the jaw. But it's a nasal sound. But it's not what we might perceive as a nasal sound in the sense that it's, it's not that kind of... That is more of a squeeze sound. So I'm not telling you to place your sound or sing through your mask or do all these kind of things that using these statements that mean very little that you may have heard, because there's no choice here. The vibration goes where it wants to go. The air goes where it wants to go. It cannot go through your mouth because the tongue is blocking it. That's it. But the resonance can be very, very different. It could be, that's more squeezed, a lot of muscles that are squeezing. Or, my famous cow impression. But there's a sense of richness. So behind that spot where the tongue meets the roof of the mouth, there's actually a lot of space. So try it again. Let's do a couple times. Let's just move and feel the sense of release as we did before. So here we go. Good. Right. We could move our jaw. As a matter of fact, let's make a lot of facial expressions while we do that. You do that. Good. Good. Fun, huh? Yes? If I can look that way, so can you. But we're focusing on how it feels, right? So how does it feel? Well, it feels good to move around. So this is actually a wonderful warm-up exercise, and it's very, very important for people who have voice problems, or if you get hoarse, if you get tired, because it helps the cords to connect. Can you do a breathy sound? Well, you could, but it's kind of uncomfortable because there's a lot of air blowing through my nose now. So this actually helps the cords to connect. It's very light on the vocal cords, right? So it becomes a very nice exercise to get the cords activated in a sense. If you have the sort of other condition where the cords squeeze together too hard, unnecessarily hard, that kind of thing, then you become aware of this here also and feel that you don't want to have an attack on it. I don't want to do that. No. If so, you want to feel as if you're about to go breathy. And it probably becomes more connected. It starts vibrating anyway, right? Because that's what the vocal cords want to do. So feel that again. You inhale and then just release. Gentle. Right. So there's no attack to it. Yeah. Right. And the beauty with these exercises is that, again, you don't need an instrument. We're going to do some stuff by the keyboard here soon. But you don't need an instrument to get the vocal cords activated. As a matter of fact, you don't want it because you just want to go with what it feels like in your voice. Maybe I'll do a little more range, right? I don't need to know what note it is, right? But we're going to work more on the range later on. So now it's about isolating these muscles. So let's now do another one, and that is stick your tongue out and bite it. So I really am holding my tongue with my teeth, with my jaw. I'm obviously not biting hard. I don't need to. But because I'm holding it, I can now sense a sense of heaviness in the back there. It just collapses. Sense of surrender, letting go, heavy. Good. And it's very possible that you feel things like that happen. Good. We become aware, right? We notice. It's going to change dramatically probably in a few days or maybe in a few minutes. So feel now that you're not holding back your breath, because that's going to be, I'm trying to do it right. No, we don't have the flow, right? We need to have a flow of air. And release. Here you go. Good. Same thing, so that it's not an attack. We don't want that. Good. Feeling heavy there in the back, way down there. Can you move around? Does it feel uncomfortable if the head moves? If this is stuck, it's going to feel uncomfortable. If I lock this, I'm not going to want to move. But if I can let go, movement feels good. And that's why movement is important. So we are also checking. Get stuck. Yes, good. Let's do a couple of things by the keyboard now. Okay, so now let's do kind of what we did before. Let's say NG. With that sense of release, that sense of flow, I'll be playing the piano, but it's just as if I'm happening to do that in the background, right? You don't have to focus on it. You just follow along. Focus on the kinesthetic experience, the physical experience. So here we go. I'll do first, and then you just copy. So, yes. Oh yeah. Just release and good. Move around. Good. Move your face now. Feels good. Good. Feel that heaviness. That still face now. Even heavier in the back there now. Sorry. Here you go. There we go. And good. And use the time that you have when I do it to inhale. So I do like this. I'm exhaling, right? And then while you do it, it becomes a slow, peaceful inhale. So I'm not sitting there and waiting and then suddenly do that at the end, right? So use that time. So it becomes a nice organic flow between the inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Feel that there's no attack. That would be pressure suddenly. Inhale, and then just release. It feels good, right? Here we go. A couple of more. And good. Good. Oh yeah, so heavy. Good. Now stick your tongue out, bite it. Here we go. Good. When you inhale, feel that sense of heaviness in the back there during the inhale also. And am I allowing the pitch to drop at the end? Yes, I am. Because I just want to feel that sense of follow through now. So I let go of the need to control. And then I inhale. Okay? So here we go. Excellent. Let's do another one with the tongue now. And that is you put your tip of the tongue behind the upper teeth, not against the teeth, a little further back, and then feel that that root of the tongue can let go. And how about we exhale and make a sound? That's right. It's like an L, but it's not anything that's squeezed there. Good. Do we need to breathe? Absolutely. But we're moving, and the movement stimulates our breathing, right? Good. Does it become is there an attack? Or does it become You feel that, right? Can you change it? As a matter of fact, let's do it breathy on purpose. Right. Ideally, we would like that to be as effortless as the connected one. It's going to be softer, right? It's not going to be as long. The air is going to escape faster, but it still doesn't have to be, we're not blowing out and doing anything that's forceful. If I blow out, then it's like I'm pushing the cords apart. That becomes very stressful. Breathy. Good. And now more connected. Right. Breathy. Connected. Good. Breathy. Good. Connected. Breathy. Connected. Move. Good. Fantastic. If you want to take a break and practice this by yourself in a range that's comfortable for you without necessarily following me or following an instrument, then take a break and do that. Have a glass of water and then come back when you are ready. Okay, now let's do this. Go back to saying the long ah. Well, it doesn't have to be extremely long, but just saying ah. Ah, okay, I'm going to count to 4. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. Okay, now what happened right before you were about to make the sound? First of all, did you wait to the very, very last moment until you inhaled? And what happened inside of your body, inside of here, during that, or right before you were about to make sound? I bet you there was a lot of movement. Maybe there was even contraction before, right? Or some kind of movement inside of here. Isn't that interesting? Happens to all of us, but it's fun to become aware of. So let's do it one more time now. 1, 2, 3, 4, and see if we can feel. All that happens is that the cords open up. Yes, they have to in order for us to inhale, right? The tongue relaxes. The jaw relaxes. We feel good. We might be moving. And we haven't really decided what note we're going to sing. And a huge trap is that the brain anticipates what we're about to sing. Here comes a high note. And we already created tension. I'm going to sing loud. And we already created a lot of effort. We don't need that. Which is also going to make you more attractive on stage, frankly, because there's not so much work, not so much effort. So what we're going to do now is you're just going to say, ah, ah, ah. Just like that, 3 times. You do it. Right. So now, what happened? What did you discover? What did the tongue do? Ideally, the tongue does nothing. It's not participating in the inhale, and it's not participating in the exhale either. Easier said than done, but that's the feeling we want to go for. Ah, ah, ah. Try it again. No movement of the tongue. Right. How do you end a sound? Often we think that we end it by squeezing, by shutting something off. Ah. But we'd rather do the absolute opposite. The chords open up. Ah. And because they open up, we reverse the airflow. We're ready to receive air. Ah. That's all. Tongue isn't there. We're not about to swallow. We're not doing anything. Try it again, 3 times, 3 ahs, and feel that at the end, ah, they open up. Here you go. You go 3 times. Yes. Interesting, huh? Now, if we do a note, is it going to change? Hopefully not. So a lot of this stuff when I'm playing the piano is really very much a mental exercise in that can we keep the focus on the physical stuff, or does suddenly our awareness, our focus shift to auditory, using our ears? Do we become more judgmental? Are we suddenly not liking the sound? Do we start, having all those self-conscious feelings about ourselves also? Or can we focus on, the physical experience? Interesting, right? So if you do, and then open up at the end. Okay, 3, 4. And you're ready to go again. Again. Good. I'll do. You go. Yes. And when you sing songs, you're going to start recognizing what your tendency is. We sing a song, da, 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 and then there's all this tension in that moment between phrases. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do 7 count ahs over and over again. So like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale. Go again. 1, 2, ah. So you're going to inhale on 8, right? Over and over again. Your task is that nothing shows from here and above. There's no movement of your jaw. There's no movement of your tongue. You just have that dumbfounded look. And when I'm watching you here, which I am, I won't be able to tell if you're exhaling or inhaling just by looking at you. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. Inhale. Go. 5, 6, 7. Go. Yes, move. And good. So ideally, every time is as easy as the first time. So that 8th count, when you inhale, is not so much about grabbing air. It really is about opening the cords, we're feeling this sense of relaxation, and air flows in. We're still not talking about breathing, we're just allowing breathing to happen in a more effective way. So what does happen? Well, the breathing obviously happens lower down. It becomes less of this. See, when we do this, it's like sucking in through a straw. I don't get a lot of air. And obviously things contract also. And then it's going to be contracted afterwards. So by training this, now I'm in a position, everything is good, and I exhale into an ah. Yes? And the breathing happens lower and lower. So that 8th count becomes more like a rebound rather than an inhale. It becomes more like a relaxation. You're dropping, and you just rebound. And woo, here you go again. Okay, try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rebound, go. Yes, rebound. And move around, move a lot. Release. Yes, let go. Let it out. Good. Yes, if we control our breath, if we hold back our breath, we're trying to save our breath, what's going to happen? It's going to be stressful to inhale because you haven't exhaled. We want to exhale. We want to let it out, release, and then the inhale happens automatically. One more time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. Chords open up, right? Open. And good. Very, very nice. Yes, does that make sense? So there are actually a lot of things here that we practiced. And when you practice by yourself, you want to focus on one thing at a time. And we have this amazing ability to shift our focus, right? So you focus, okay, vocal cords, tongue, jaw. So speaking of jaw, right, does this happen? This is very, very common. People inhale, and then they go, and the jaw suddenly shoots open on the But that is muscle effort. The more relaxed this becomes, the more the jaw can drop. And when we say words, the mouth will obviously move, right? Depending on what we say and what style we sing also. But if you have to sing an why? Probably because you think it's part of a style. And we want to get away from that to realize which muscle is doing what. So we don't get into trying to shape the sound according to what you think is correct for a style. How much does the jaw really drop for you? Depends on your head position, right? If you do like this, my jaw is still relaxed, but of course the jaw has nowhere to go. I look up, this obviously has more further to open, right? So it depends. But we don't want to artificially just open the mouth. So now, let me talk about this thing about yawning. A lot of people have been taught to feel as if you're yawning, and we need to now understand why that is, and why I don't say that. What does the yawn do? It's often believed that the yawning relaxes the throat. Does it? Well, if I yawn, what is exactly is relaxed in the moment in the middle of the yawn? There's a lot of muscle moving, right? So why are we taught to yawn? Because, for two reasons, and we need to understand the two different reasons. One reason is that the yawn pushes down the larynx. It lowers, you see my Adam's apple goes down. When I swallow, Adam's apple goes up. So the belief is that the yawn lowers than the larynx, which it does. But in what way? Because a lot of people do it, there's a lot of tension involved. It's a manipulated way of lowering the larynx by using muscle effort. What often happens is, and it becomes actually not a free sound at all, it becomes very squeezed. And what also very often happens, especially among men, it becomes very nasal. And it's that belief that it creates a classical tone, operatic tone. Well, does it really? It becomes more an artificial way of creating a classical tone. But it also brings with it a lot of tension, a lot of surrounding muscle tension, right? But the other reason also is that the yawn then raises the soft palate. Okay, but do I want to sound like I'm yawning? So what we're going to do here through the program also is that you're going to learn then how to separate muscles. So what we're doing here is we're developing this awareness now, and we're doing exercises so that the larynx will actually fall lower rather than being pushed lower. Huge difference. The same as I just mentioned it regarding the jaw. If I say open your mouth, that's not a helpful instruction because open the mouth means what? That's a lot of muscle tension. If the jaw can relax and the mouth opens, yes, fine. But a lot of singers don't open their mouth a lot. Depends on the style also, right? Hey, yeah. Doesn't have to open a lot. Depends. But going back to the yawn then, try to feel if you can do it without this yawning and just feeling this heaviness. What's the difference between oh and oh? The second one, I had more of a tendency to shape the resonance without pushing down, right? I'm not an opera singer, and I don't teach opera because I don't teach the repertoire, but a lot of opera singers have trained with me, both in person and doing the home study program. Why? Because it's about freeing the muscles so that they can sing then in the style they want, and it's helped them tremendously with the health aspect of the voice and also being able to sing in that style, being able to project without so much effort. Does that make sense? So, no yawning, but heaviness. Ah, say it. Good. Oh, yeah. Good. Say it with that L. Good. Tongue out. Bite it. Heaviness there, right? Angie. Okay? Very good. So with that in mind, let's do a couple more now. Let's just go with it, okay? Good. What are the chords doing? Opening up, right? Right. What are they doing when you're done with the sound is what I meant, yeah? Right. Yes? Good. Yeah, say long now. 3 R's. You go. 7 counts. Here we go. And. Oh yes, keep going. Let's keep going. Oh yeah, feels good. And. Oh yeah. Wonderful. So when you practice, do it in your range. I'm just playing here where I feel might be comfortable for you, but you want to do it in your range where it's comfortable for you, which is why you don't want anyone else to tell you what's comfortable for you, that anyone else decides what range you're going to be in. Wherever it happens to be, okay? So practice this. have fun with this and see what you discover. Every day, you're going to discover something new. Not just because of the discovery process, but because the muscles start doing things differently, right? So have fun with this, and I'll see you in the next one.